In the NBA, trades usually come with a winner and a loser. One side gets the superstar, the other side gets the short end of the deal. And fans love to roast the team that gave up too much, but sometimes, something rare happens. A trade where both teams win, the right fit, the right moment, the perfect upgrade for both sides, and when it works, it can change the future of a franchise or two. Today, we're diving into the 5 greatest win-win trades in NBA history. The ones where nobody got fleeced and everybody got better. Some of these moves shaped dynasties, some saved careers, and some still affect the league today. Let's break them down. Stay tuned for the final trade, because it might just be the smartest move in league history. Trade 1. Ray Allen to the Celtics, 2007. In the summer of 2007, the Boston Celtics were stuck. They had a loyal franchise star in Paul Pierce, but not much else. The team had missed the playoffs in 6 of the last 10 seasons and just wrapped up a 24-58 campaign, the second worst record in the entire league. Time was running out. Then came the call that changed everything. The Celtics struck a deal with the Seattle Supersonics. They traded away Wally Szczerbiak, Delonte West, and the number 5 pick in the NBA draft in exchange for one of the purest shooters in league history, Ray Allen. On paper, it seemed like a typical star-for-assets deal. Boston needed more scoring. Seattle wanted to rebuild. But in reality, this trade lit the first fuse in one of the most explosive championship runs in NBA history. What Boston got? A marksman plus a magnet. Ray Allen didn't just bring scoring. He brought veteran composure, work ethic, and a reputation that carried weight in every locker room. He was coming off a 26-point-per-game season, but more importantly, he was respected by every player in the league, including one key name, Kevin Garnett. The moment Allen arrived in Boston, Garnett, who had spent his career stuck in Minnesota purgatory, saw a reason to finally make a move. Just weeks later, the Celtics pulled off a second blockbuster to get KG, forming what would be known as the Big Three: Pierce, Allen, and Garnett. In one summer, Boston went from lottery team to championship favorite. What Seattle got? A new foundation. At first glance, the Sonics looked like the losers here. They gave up a superstar for role players and a draft pick. But that draft pick? It turned into Jeff Green, who became a key rotation player in the early Oklahoma City Thunder era. This move also gave Seattle flexibility to go all in on their next big move, drafting a lanky forward named Kevin Durant that very same summer. Add in Russell Westbrook 2008 and James Harden 2009, and you've got a core that would eventually take Oklahoma City to the NBA Finals. So while Boston cashed in immediately, Seattle was planting seeds for a future super team. Why it's a win-win? Boston got their ring in 2008. They revitalized the franchise and gave Paul Pierce the running mates he desperately needed. Seattle, and eventually Oklahoma City, used the trade to reset, draft Durant, and build a contender that would define the 2010s. It's a trade that proves success isn't always instant. Sometimes a win-win means one team wins now, and the other builds something that lasts for years. Trade 2, Paugasol to the Lakers, 2008. When the Los Angeles Lakers pulled off the Paugasol trade in 2008, the basketball world exploded. Fans screamed, "Robbery!" Analysts said it should be illegal. Even Greg Popovich famously called for the league to veto it. But what if we told you this robbery ended up helping both teams? Here's what went down. Lakers received Paugasol, a future second-round pick. Grizzlies received Kwame Brown, Javaris Crittenton, Aaron McKee, rights to Marc Gasol, 2 first-round picks, cash considerations. To most people, it looked like highway robbery. Pau was a 27-year-old, 7-foot former All-Star who averaged nearly 19 points and 9 rebounds per game. Kwame Brown, well, let's just say he wasn't exactly known for elite production. So why is this trade on our win-win list? Because it set up 2 different kinds of success stories. How the Lakers won a championship catalyst. The moment Pau landed in LA, it was like pouring rocket fuel on Kobe's competitive fire. The Lakers went from promising but flawed to title contenders overnight. Pau was the perfect complement to Kobe. Unselfish, smart, skilled in the post. Their high-low chemistry became one of the best offensive weapons in the league. The Lakers made 3 straight finals appearances, 2008, 2009, 2010, and won back-to-back titles in 2009 and 2010. More than just stats, Pau brought stability and basketball IQ to a team that desperately needed it after the failed Kwame experiment and the post-Shaq rebuilding years. Kobe himself said it best, "I wouldn't have those rings without Pau." How Memphis won, the start of grit and grind. At first glance, Memphis seemed like the sucker in this deal. But the real gem of the trade wasn't any of the established players. It was Mark Gasol, Pau's younger brother, who at the time was just an overseas prospect with potential and a whole lot of baby fat. Fast forward a few seasons, Mark transformed into a three-time All-Star, 2013 Defensive Player of the Year, the anchor of the Grit and Grind Grizzlies alongside Zach Randolph, Mike Conley, and Tony Allen. He played a key role in leading Memphis to the 2013 Western Conference Finals, the deepest playoff run in franchise history. Mark didn't just become good, he became one of the greatest players in Grizzlies history. Why it's a win-win? The Lakers got rings and cemented Kobe's legacy in the post-Shaq era. The Grizzlies got their future cornerstone, a culture reset, and a playoff identity that would last for nearly a decade. This wasn't just a win-win, it was two franchises unlocking their next chapter in completely different ways. Trade 3, Chaunceybillups for Allen Iverson, 2008. This trade wasn't flashy, it didn't involve rising stars or top draft picks, but it might be the most underrated win-win deal of the 2000s, because this wasn't just a player swap, it was a culture reset for both teams. In November 2008, the Detroit Pistons and Denver Nuggets agreed to a blockbuster. Detroit received Allen Iverson, former MVP, four-time scoring champion, one of the biggest names in basketball. Denver received Chauncey Billups, hometown point guard and finals MVP, Antonio McDyess, Shake Sam. At first glance, the trade felt lopsided in favor of Detroit. They were getting a legend in Iverson. Ticket sales soared. The buzz was real. But what happened next flipped the narrative entirely. How Denver won. Chauncey Billups was exactly what the Denver Nuggets needed. Before the trade, Denver was talented but chaotic. Carmelo Anthony could score, but the team lacked structure, defense, and leadership. Billups came in and immediately changed everything. Took control of the offense, set a winning tone in the locker room, anchored the defense with communication and IQ, brought a sense of maturity and accountability. The results? Denver finished the 2008-09 season with 54 wins, the second-best record in franchise history at the time. They reached the Western Conference Finals, their deepest playoff run in 2 decades, and finally looked like a legit contender. All of it, fueled by Billups' veteran presence and calm leadership. How Detroit won. For Detroit, Iverson wasn't just a scorer, he was cap space. By trading Billups, the Pistons freed up over $20 million in expiring salary. This allowed them to retool for the future and clear the way for emerging players like Rodney Stuckey. Iverson, meanwhile, brought national attention, put fans in seats, and gave Detroit some temporary firepower. No, it didn't work out on the court. The chemistry was off, and AI's role wasn't clear. But from a front office standpoint, Detroit used the trade as a calculated reset. They were making a bet on long-term financial flexibility over short-term wins. Why it's a win-win. Denver got the floor general they needed to elevate their stars and reach their potential. Detroit used the deal to open a new era, free up money, and begin rebuilding around a new core. One team leveled up, the other cleared the board. Both got what they wanted. It's proof that sometimes a trade isn't about the names, it's about fit, timing, and strategy. And in this case, both front offices made the right move, for very different reasons. Trade 4, Demarderozan for Kawhi Leonard, 2018. If there's one trade in NBA history that felt like a gut punch and a championship parade at the same time, it's this one. In July 2018, the Toronto Raptors did something unthinkable. They traded away the face of their franchise, DeMar DeRozan, along with Jakob Poeltl and a first-round pick, for a player who didn't even want to be there, Kawhi Leonard, a quiet superstar, coming off a season where he played just 9 games, a player who reportedly had no interest in living in Canada and was absolutely leaving in free agency. So why did Toronto do it? Because they knew something every contender has to eventually learn. Playing it safe never wins you rings. What Toronto gave up? Loyalty. Let's not forget, DeMar DeRozan loved Toronto. He embraced the city. He stayed through rebuilds. He re-signed when other stars bolted. He told the world, "This is my home," and he didn't even get a phone call. The trade devastated him, and fans were furious. But the Raptors weren't chasing sentiment, they were chasing banners. What Toronto got? The best one-year rental ever. Kawhi Leonard showed up in Toronto and got to work. He didn't say much, he didn't seek headlines, he just played like a machine. Averaged 26.6 points per game in the regular season. Put together a historic playoff run, hit the shot, a buzzer beater in Game 7 versus the Sixers that bounced 4 times and sent an entire country into a frenzy. Then led the Raptors past the mighty Warriors in the finals, ending Golden State's dynasty in 6 games. In just one season, Kawhi delivered the Raptors their first and only NBA title. It was cold, it was risky, but it worked. What San Antonio got? Stability and a quiet star. At first, it felt like the Spurs got the short end, but over time, this trade aged better than expected. DeMar DeRozan gave them 20-plus points per game in multiple seasons, veteran leadership for a young roster, a bridge between the Duncan Parker-Ginobili era and the next chapter. Jakob Poeltl blossomed into a dependable defense-first starting center. While they didn't win a ring, the Spurs remained competitive, avoided a full tank, and maintained the culture they're known for. Why it's a win-win. Toronto went all in and got the ultimate prize. San Antonio avoided a complete collapse and got real production in return. Most trades are judged on titles or regrets. This one? It gave us one of the greatest single-season stories in NBA history and showed that sometimes the boldest move is the one that changes everything. Trade 5. Domantassabonis for Tyrese 2022. If there was one trade that caused the entire NBA community to collectively say, "Wait, they traded who?" It was this one. In February 2022, the Sacramento Kings shocked the league by trading away Tyrese, a rising second-year guard who many thought was untouchable. Kings received Domantassabonis, Jeremy Lamb, Justin Holiday, a second-round pick. Pacers received Tyrese, Buddy Hield, Tristan Thompson. At first glance, the reactions were overwhelmingly one-sided. Why would you trade a young, pass-first-floor general with all-star upside for an old-school big man? Classic Kings move. Indiana just fleeced them. But here's the wild part. 2 years later, both teams won this trade. Big time. What Sacramento got? A new identity and playoff rebirth. The Kings weren't trying to build for 5 years down the line. They wanted to win now. And with De'Aaron Fox already established at point guard, they saw Sabonis as the perfect complementary piece. An elite screen setter and rebounder. One of the best passing bigs in the league. A true offensive hub in the high post. The result? In 2023, the Kings made the playoffs for the first time in 16 years, ending the longest drought in NBA history. Sabonis averaged a double-double, made the All-NBA third team, and helped lead the NBA's #1 offense. He brought toughness, he brought leadership, and alongside Fox and Keegan Murray, he helped usher in the Beam Team era that completely transformed the energy in Sacramento. What Indiana got? Their franchise cornerstone. While the Kings were chasing the playoffs, Indiana was searching for their next franchise player. They found it in Tyrese. Since the trade, Halliburton has exploded, became a two-time All-Star, led the NBA in assists per game, 2023 to 2024, became the undisputed leader of the Pacers on and off the court, guided Indiana to their first playoff appearance since 2020. He's flashy but efficient. He's a pass-first point guard in a shoot-first era. He brings vision, personality, and winning basketball to a team that desperately needed direction. The Pacers now have a face of the franchise who's not only embraced the city, but helped reignite their culture. Why it's a win-win? This trade broke the mold. Most blockbuster trades create a winner and a loser. This one? It created two playoff teams, two rejuvenated fan bases, and two players who have thrived in roles perfectly suited for them. Sacramento needed a grown-up physical all-star to stabilize their front court. Indiana needed a visionary playmaker to lead them into the future. And both got exactly what they were missing. In a league full of drama, bad deals, and trade regrets, these are the rare moments where everyone wins. Sometimes it's about fit. Sometimes it's about timing. Sometimes it's just about two teams taking a leap of faith. Trades aren't always zero-sum. And when they work like this, they shape legacies, they create championships, and they prove that even in the NBA, you don't always have to lose for someone else to win. Which trade did we miss? Drop it in the comments. And if you want more NBA deep dives, hit that like button and subscribe.